Social media. Well, a familiar phrase to hear in 2025. It is, quite frankly, the pioneering way of promoting human interaction and communication. But I want to start by asking you one simple question. If you would pay your favorite social media, let's say WeChat or TikTok, a mandatory monthly subscription fee, how much are you actually willing to pay? Have a think about that. So people always talk about how social media is the epidemic of mental illness and how it's just affecting our lives in general and how it's just settled in our society. But rarely do people talk about why. Why is it involuntary? Why is it just so obsessed? Why are we so obsessed? Why is it that everyone recognizes a problem but never take action? We never discuss about it in depth. So as a result, in modern society, we're just too focused on external sources of information that we let the world's perspective lead on what we see instead of us judging the world with our own perspective. So I would say this another way, that it's so implemented in our brain that it's just too subtle to notice its existence. So it's rather normal for us to neglect these aspects. So as a result, the cumulative effect of society and for social media is the fact that individual perception and individual thinking is rather neglected because of all these external information, all these overwhelming information, all these social media apps, all these videos. We're taking compromise of our time all the time because, quite frankly, there's too much interesting things that we just can't take all. So let me put this in context. Before the modern society, or before the 21st century, people had less sources of information. So they focused more on their individual perception or their own thoughts, quite frankly. Or they focused on their community. But in modern society, with all these overwhelming information, we tend to feel like that things are just way too much for us. Things are just too overwhelming for us. So let me give you an example. Have you ever searched, for example, let's say a political conflict on your favorite search engine and felt like there's just so many aspects and so many perspectives that you can consider, and all of them seems really right, and all of them seems like they make sense. So we all know that the big media, or 大数据, curates your media homepage to tell you what's actually balanced instead of what's actually true for you. So we indulge in these kind of, let's say, these superficial satisfaction. And it's quite frankly to say that in modern society, we as contemporary teenagers and adults, and quite frankly every one of you sitting here, this is what we want. This is what we desire. We want something that's fast and quick and easy, that makes us relax just at an instant. And this is why this is such a huge problem. And let's say that this is actually fundamentally embedded in our perception and in our society. So I want to address a phrase called social currency. Just like any other currencies we use offline to attribute to goods or services, social currency is something that we use online. And in this case, they represent things like likes, shares, and followers on social media. But the problem here is that we are the product of social currency. And when we like a post, or when we share a post, or when we follow someone on social media, we attribute our own value to these other people, which doesn't strictly align with our own self because everyone else does the same with us as well. I want to address another phrase called highlight reels, which essentially is the best moments of your life, as you can tell from the phrase. Because say something like getting a 1600 on your SAT, or getting into Harvard University, for example. These are something that you're proud of, these are the highlights of your life. These are the top moments that you really wanted to share, and these are things that make you who you are. And this other term I want to address is called behind the scenes, which quite frankly are basically just normal stuff or normal things that happen to us every single day. For example, having a walk in the park, or having a talk with your friend or playing volleyball with your friends. These are things that are just so normal in your life that, quite frankly, most people wouldn't like to post on social media. And that's kind of a big problem for us because we align our behind the scenes with other people's highlight reels. And this is something that doesn't really make sense because, let me give you another example. Have you ever just scrolled on social media? For example, if you scrolled on Rednote or TikTok, and it felt like everyone else was doing significantly better than you. Achieving more, earning more money, getting better grades, eating better food, going to better places, all these stuff that you haven't really achieved. This is the cumulative effect of this because we fail to realize that other people's highlight reels doesn't equal to our behind the scenes. And this is something that's really common and embedded in our society and in our personal perception as well. So I want to address an example from my individual experience. I was once watching a study talk, which is basically a video that a blogger posts on YouTube. And it's normally 8 to 10 hours. It consists of so-called the perfect routine to execute a specific academic subject. And it comes with things like Ivy League acceptance stories and all these aesthetic notes that you can follow. But one thing that I realized, or one thing that I felt instantly was that I felt the immense amount of pressure because I feel like that I'm just outperformed by other people. I'm just not doing better than them. I'm not doing as efficient as them, or I'm not achieving more as them because of all these content they're posting. And this is not something that I really want to think of because it's so embedded in my subconscious that I just can't not think of. So eventually, I tried to execute what's so-called the perfect routine and followed all of the procedures that the blogger posted. And eventually, I did not achieve anything. I pulled an all-nighter and basically burned out and realized that this is not effective for me. Why am I not achieving anything academically or personally when this so-called perfect routine was achieved? Why is it that everything that this blogger posts doesn't equal to my personal success? Because I might as well just not do anything if I just can't succeed and not follow this. So we often consider this situation as the boiling frog situation. I suppose some of you have heard about this. So first of all, we consider social media as a normalization. So we understand that it's so addictive to us. We understand that it's just customized to us directly, but we never realize that this is more and more taking a part of our life at a cumulative phenomenon. In other words, we just can't realize that this is fundamentally embedded in our lives. So I want to address a few feasible solutions, something which I think are achievable. So I'm not really going to tell you to turn off your notifications or delete all your social media apps or just not talk to your friends in general because this is just, in general, not achievable of what I just said. So first of all, recognize the problem here. This talk is not for you to grasp anything or to just grasp your own idea of something. This talk is to raise the topic above water and allows everyone to recognize or realize that, oh, this is actually something that I should take cautious of because that's, quite frankly, in modern society, we're always told by individuals or certain groups of people or social media how to do certain things or how to not do certain things. And these are, in fact, we're not recognizing what's best for us. We're not effective. We're not really recognizing what's actually balanced for us. And second of all, regulate. Just like how our parents told us not to eat so much junk food and not to consume so much rubbish content, the same here with social media. Try to diminish the negative because if you think that, oh, this content is making me feel another way that I'm not supposed to feel, it is already that you're not regulating the content or the information that you're consuming in social media. And lastly, realize. Realize that social media is a tool for you. It's a tool that can lift you up and it can put you down instantly. It's all about the content and your own perception. So basically, set your own boundaries with this content, because if you don't set your own boundaries, you let the world and you let the mass media curate your phone page to tell you that, oh, this is what you're suitable for, or something that's you feel engaged are really not healthy for you, or in other words, these are just not effective for your brain development because of all the overwhelming information that we constantly consume. So, is media actually determining or alternating our perception? The answer is, it doesn't have to. Because we have so many ways. Our brain is a powerful tool that we can use to generate different ideas that can help us mitigate these aspects, negative aspects of social media. And I'm not hoping for you to grasp certain things from this speech, because everyone has their own approach of doing things, and everyone has their approach for dealing with social media. So I would say we don't need a silent phone. All we need is a more cautious mind. Thank you.